Good morning. Happy Friday. We made it, folks. It's Friday. First, let me mea culpa. I was wrong. Fire moth, spelled backwards, informed me that cops, at least in California, have one right. I'm going to use scare quotes around the word right because I don't think it actually is a right. I think it's more of a privilege. But they can purchase and own firearms that citizens can't, even with NFA tax stamp, because California doesn't allow those particular tax stamps to be effective in California. And so cops can buy various models and calibers that citizens can't in California. So I was wrong. There is at least one right that cops have that citizens don't. Speaking of rights, I am not entirely sure that any of the pro-anarchist commenters, I don't think they understand what a right is, how it functions, what it means to be a right. And again, they're trying to argue morals, and not a lot of it makes sense. But on the right issue, one commenter, I don't want to pick on him, but he argued that the state is violating our rights with flock cameras. Now, I am not a pro-government guy. I don't like our government. I don't like a lot of the rules and laws that our government makes and enforces. I don't like how they enforce the laws. I don't believe there is equal protection under the law. I don't believe that for a minute. I have a lot of grievances with our government. That being said, I don't see an alternative to a government. But this guy said that flock cameras violate our rights. I don't like flock cameras, but I have a very specific question. I asked him this, and I have not gotten an answer. Name the right that flock cameras violate. Name it. I don't know of a right that flock cameras violate. I don't like them. I don't agree with them. I don't like a surveillance state. I don't like the government being up our ass all the time about everything. But I don't think it violates a right. I am unaware of what right it violates. So maybe that commenter just got lost in the sauce and failed to respond back. But I would love to know what right flock cameras violate. This is an interesting topic to me. I am interested to actually hear a cogent argument on why anarchy should. I mean, people were citing a lot of sources for people in the past who advocated for anarchy, but none of the arguments that I heard were very convincing. I know that's not, my real understanding of why anarchy doesn't work is because it can't work. Humans fall into hierarchies. They just do. I didn't read the paper, but I heard on some show about a commune in Oakland where they tried desperately to dissolve the distinctions between men and women. Everybody participated equally in everything. And apparently they were somewhat successful at that until that big fire in Oakland, and the commune burned down. And almost instantly, and this is from a paper written by a sociologist who was a believer in and a liver in that, and who lived in a liver in, who lived in. Speaking of words, just as a tangent, a commenter said that government means mind control. Literally means mind control. Govern as in regulator control, and ment as in mental, as in control minds. I just thought that was freaking hilarious. So a ship mental, ship mind is a mind made of ships. I'm going to receive a shipment today. Oh, really? You're going to get a shipment? Oh my God, these guys are hilarious, and I am interested. I'm not trying to demean anybody, but it was just a hilarious comment. Oh, that made me. Yesterday was a rough day for a lot of reasons that I'm not going to get into on YouTube, but that that made my day much brighter. So thank you for whoever said that. Oh, yesterday was a rough, terrible, terrible, terrible day. But today's a new day, and glory to God. We'll get through it. Where was I? Oh yeah. So this gal who lived in the commune and believed in it, she was kind of amazed by it because she found herself falling into this hierarchy. The men took control. They developed their own little hierarchy of men. There's one guy who was running everything, and the guys handled dealing with the insurance companies. The guys handled, clearing the debris. The guys handled the rebuilding. The women reverted naturally to taking care of the kids so the men could be free to work, making the lunches, making the sandwiches, making the food. They just instinctively reverted to these roles. It is my belief, and my life has gotten better since I rejected this culture thing that our society currently has. And I took control of my family. I make the decisions. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm a tyrant. That doesn't mean that I don't treat my family with love and respect. But my wife, once I took control, realized she didn't like having to make decisions. And she was happier for it. She was more content. Our relationship got better. I was a believer in this liberal idea that, men and women should be equal, and, everything should be equal, and blah, blah, blah. But that's not the way people operate. We have natures. We have ingrained kind of things in us. Men tend to be more aggressive, more assertive, more dominant, more decisive, more rational. Women are geared for taking care of kids. That's how their psyches work. And if they don't have kids, they have small dogs or cats or something like that they could, it's kind of built into us. You could say it's evolution. You could say it's God's plan, whatever. That's kind of how humans operate. And human families tend to have, mom looking after the kids, dad looking after mom, and by extension, the kids. In the hierarchy of religion, you have God, you have the bishop, you have got the priest, you've got the dad, you've got under him the mom, under her the kids. And each person is responsible for. We have a duty to take care of the people below us. But part of that is, the respecting the authority of the person above us. And the person above us has a duty to care for and to protect and whatnot, the people below them. It's a two-way street. And I don't think it's sexist. You can disagree. I love my wife to death. If she disagrees with one of my decisions, first of all, she'll let me know, and I will take her desires into account. It doesn't mean I'm going to change my decision, but it means that I probably will, because I love her, and because I care about her, and I have a duty for her to maintain her health and well-being and whatnot. I take her desires into account. Maybe that makes me a bad person. And, maybe a woman who's strong and doesn't need no man, independent woman, blah, blah, blah. Great. In general, I talk about the general rule, not the exceptions to the rule. And generally speaking, women want a strong, confident, assertive man who's going to make the decisions. Look at the men women gravitate towards. Strong, confident men who make the decisions. Obviously, the women want the man to make the decisions they want the man to make, but, they want the man to make the decisions. There's a lot of responsibility there that women just don't want. The man makes a decision. If it goes great, awesome. If it goes bad, well, he has to bear the burden of having made that bad decision. You hand that to a woman, she doesn't want to have the responsibility, the burden of bearing the bad decision. Generally speaking, hashtag not all. I know it's controversial. But all societies work that way. The most dominant personality will take control in a situation where there is no one in control. If you've ever been in like a work group with students, somebody's going to take control and start controlling everything, or else it turns into shit. And that's just in like we've got to get a project done kind of way. That's the way humans work. Anytime there's a vacuum for power, someone's going to rise. The most dominant person is going to rise to take over. Might be the smartest person, might be the strongest person. In the Bible, that God didn't want the Israelites to have a king. He said, no, I'll lead you through my priests. We'll be good. And they said, no, we want a king, because people want to have someone in charge. I saw another comment that people think that anarchy is no laws or no rules, but no, it's actually no rulers. You can't have rules without rulers. That might blow someone's mind, but you can't have rules without rulers. Someone has to make the rules. Someone has to enforce the rules. Someone has to be a judge of whether or not the rules were broken, which is why we have 3 branches of government. You can't have rules without rulers. You might notice they both have the same kind of root. Rule. The rulers make the rules by ruling. The most charitable interpretation I can make of that is that essentially what he's advocating for isn't anarchy, it's just direct democracy, where everybody gets to decide every issue, which the Athenians tried. They tried direct democracy and it failed. It's not a good form of governance, because you still get tyranny by the majority, which is what our founders recognized, which is why they tried to develop this democratic republic system that we have, where we don't directly vote on things, but we vote for people who then vote for the things. But even in a direct democracy, you still okay, so great. The majority of the people are the rulers now. They make the rules, and they have someone enforce the rules, and they have someone judge whether or not the rules have been broken. You didn't solve anything. You didn't, that's not anarchy. That's just direct democracy, dude. Bleh. And that's my most charitable interpretation of it. Because if there is no single deciding thing, call it a government. Mind control. If you don't have that, some group of people somewhere is going to be making the rules, or else everybody's making their own rules and there are no rules, because your rules are whatever you decide. And you get to decide if someone violated your rules, and you get to enforce it, and you get to judge it. That's anarchy. And then the strongest will then decide, will end up being the rulers, because they will be able to enforce their rules. Boom! Back to square one. It's just nonsense. True anarchy has never been tried. I know, because anytime there's a vacuum of power, someone rises up to take control. Someone or some group of people, some body of people. Just doesn't make any sense. Just none of it makes any sense. And again, I find the subject fascinating. Well, I made now several videos on it. What I'm thinking about doing is, if there's time, maybe this weekend, maybe next weekend, maybe, who knows, I'm going to try to set aside some time to do a live stream. And I'll open up my Discord. Right now, you can't post anything in my Discord, or you can't post anything in my Discord unless you have a phone number associated with your, like a verified phone number that Discord has verified your account through your phone number. That's why I have the rule where you have to actually type something in the chat. Once you do that, then I know that you're verified through Discord, and then I'll give you access to the rest of the Discord. That's why I have that, because, you know, it keeps out people, it helps keep people from making like a bunch of sock accounts just to, you know, run amok. And then you kick a sock account, they just make another sock account and jump in and blah, blah, blah. So it's to cut down on the nonsense. I'd like to say I'm a busy man. I'm never as busy as I want to be. But I don't want to spend time moderating my Discord. It just, so I use just all the straight up Discord tools that are available to moderate it, so I don't have to deal with a bunch of nonsense. But what I'm thinking about doing is opening up the voice channels to allow people to come in. I mean, their voice will be associated with it if they do anything too wrong, so the cops will have something to investigate if they go overboard. And I'll bring like one person up at a time into another chat room. You know, if you want to talk to me, you get into the group chat where you guys can have all the nonsense you want, and I'll bring you up one at a time and do a live stream with call-ins, because again, this topic is interesting to me, so it would be interesting to explore it. Maybe someone does have a really good argument for how anarchy could work, how rules can be made without rulers, how rules can be enforced without rulers, what rights are, how they get enforced if there's no government entity to enforce them, and how you enforcing what you believe are rights won't just turn into the strongest forming a new government based on the rights that they think they should have or whatever. And you could also, I guess, try to talk to me about morality. Again, you're going to have a fundamental problem, I think, because how do we know, like, if you have your morality and someone else has their morality and they're stronger than you, like, what do they care about your morality? They're not violating their morality and they're enforcing their will on you. Like, so the morality thing is a huge question mark. But to wrap this video up, James Freeman, a couple days ago, got his bond reduction hearing. His bond was reduced, so that's great. Congratulations to you, James. For all the people who are like, oh, the money. If you gave him the money, maybe you can have like some issue with how the money is getting spent or whatever. But if you didn't give him money, it's really none of your business. And I mean, I personally don't care that he got 80 grand and he only has a $2,500 bond in a public defender. That doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, great. But unless you're one of the people who gave him the money, like, I don't think you really have a say in it. If you did give him money and you're upset about his bond being reduced for reasons that are unclear to me, maybe contact him and see if he'll refund you. I mean, good luck. But his bond was reduced, and his wife does want contact with him. I believe the court ordered only like email and text contact between the two of them related solely to the children. This isn't uncommon, not uncommon. You know, I know people are quick to condemn James, but this might have been a one-off. Just because in general abusers have abused in the past doesn't mean that there wasn't ever a first time for them. I still would hope that he gets treatment so that he doesn't repeat. But he could have been otherwise an exemplary father. This could have been a one-time mistake, a one-time lapse of judgment for him. I don't know the facts, and you don't know the facts, and I get everybody wants to judge him, but you know, that's the role of the judge, to judge him, or the jury if it goes to jury trial. Someone did comment that you know, mom might recant her allegations against Freeman. That is possible, but she's not the plaintiff in this case. She can't drop the charges because the state brought the charges. And this is a common enough thing that, like in California, the even if the complaining witness decides that they don't want the prosecution to proceed, they don't have a say in the matter. Like it's fairly common. This happens frequently. This is not uncommon. So, and also even if even if she refuses to testify and, is willing to face whatever criminal penalties that would be associated with refusing to testify, because if a subpoena to appear as a witness does require you to testify, even if you don't want to. But even if they can't get her to testify about the domestic violence, he's still facing felonies. The evasion, not stopping for the police is a felony. He's still, and it's independent of the domestic violence. So even if they can't convict him of the domestic violence, there was probable cause for the stop. So the stop is still valid. He failed to, he failed to stop. And so they can still get a conviction on that. So I don't think it would really change anything if she does recant her story, because he's still facing the felonies, and hopefully my hope for him is he does get it pled down to a very low sentence, maybe time served, maybe probation for like a year or something like that. Definitely, I hope he gets some sort of help to deal with any anger management issues he has. I think that would have to be part of it, unless he's not convicted on the DV side or doesn't plead on the DV side. But I hope he gets it, because, if you've had a domestic violence issue, then you should get help. But I'm not advocating for like a huge sentence for him. In the grand scheme of things, all things considered, what he did was fairly minor as far as the DV is concerned. He didn't punch her in the face. He didn't break a bone. He didn't shoot her. He didn't stab her. It could be a whole lot worse. I know a lot of people are blowing this out all out of proportion, but this is the internet. This is outrage culture. Enjoy it. But I do hope for a good outcome for him. An outcome for him that his wife wants and his kids want. So the process is going to unfold, and I hope the outcome is a net benefit for James and his family. Mostly his family, but that would probably include a net benefit for James as a result. He might not like the result, but I hope it's a net benefit for him. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. I got a frog in my throat. Have a great day.